All right. And I think we are ready to begin. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Composites Weekly, the industry's leading podcast show. As always, this episode is made possible by our friends over at the ACMA's Education Hub. They're the industry destination for composite resources for CCT training and testing, recorded webinars, conference proceedings, regulatory information, customized manufacturing training, and so much more. The CCT program supports professional development and facilitates uniform training and technical skills. It's the only certification program of its kind in the industry, and this program is completed online and provides enrollees with all of the resources needed to succeed in becoming a certified composites technician. So if you'd like to learn more, you can visit them today over at acmaeducationhub.org. That is acmaeducationhub.org. And eventually, as you know, we're now streaming live on StreamYard now. Eventually, I'll probably get it to where we can control some of the, have some of the links that pop up as we're recording live on this. We're kind of new to StreamYard. So far, we love it, the simplicity and just the fact that we can use it to stream out to multiple platforms at one time makes it a whole lot easier to use than Zoom. But appreciate all of our listeners today. We've got Jeff Bassler. He's joining me. And he's with a company called Prodigm. He is the CEO of Prodigm, which is a premier maker of production-focused filament winding controls and software solutions. Since 2008, Prodigm has been developing and providing customer-focused filament winding solutions. They offer CNC control platforms, and they retrofit for filament winding machines, control upgrades for fiber tension, pattern design software, and complete machine filament winding and fiber tension. He's going to be sharing a little background on their company, how they're helping companies out there that are involved in the filament winding process. We're going to mention one particular company that they did some work with recently, a company called Duoline, who they have a plant out in Texas. They produce fiberglass tubular liners for the oil and gas industry using the filament winding process. And so, Jeff, I'm happy to have you join me on the show. Jeff, welcome aboard.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan.
Absolutely, glad to have you on. I always enjoy having someone from your perspective with this on the software side of things, spending some time with me today to talk a little bit about your company. I know you guys have been around since 2008. If you would kind of share a little bit about your background and
Sure.
what led you into this industry.
So yeah, I'm an electrical engineer by degree.
Yep.
And I've come up through the technology industry working with Hewlett Packard, Maxtor, lots of different entities, writing software, firmware, and doing control systems, product development. And that kind of spurred me into looking for opportunities to come up and develop a product that fit my skill set. So I was always on the look, and I always enjoyed helping manufacturers get out of equipment what they really wanted it to do.
Sure.
Yeah. So I saw that opportunity when I met a company who had a broken down filament winding machine, and they were looking to just start with cello wrapping, if we're familiar with that. And I looked into the industry. I had already been working on a machine for a company called Fiber Forge, doing all the controls and software. So I already had my toe into the composites industry. And I saw a great opportunity there because it really intrigued me, all the patterns and math, how the math really tied into the composite laminate structure and its strengths, and how you could custom tailor your laminate makeup to get the properties and mechanical strengths that you wanted just by changing your math and your angles and your buildup. So, yeah, so looking at it, I was definitely intrigued, and I started developing the first filament winding programs and algorithms I guess it was about 13, 14 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. So how big's you guys are located? I think we were talking before the show. You guys are located out in the Denver area?
So we're north of Denver. Yeah, we're up in the foothills of Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay. All right.
And we're out of a fairly small facility. We have a few filament winders and tensioners and such that we keep on hand so that we can test and develop and improve our algorithms. And if there's ever a feature that a customer wants, we can work on it here before we go and turn off, maybe a production line that runs day and night.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, I'm bringing up the your case study recently with dual line technologies. I'd love for you to share the story just to give our listeners an understanding about how you all kind of really come in and help, where I guess so many companies out there will kind of leave you hanging, or I guess you're forced to rely on their expertise to come in. Once you make that capital investment in the equipment, you're kind of held over a barrel, so to speak, in terms of what they're going to do for you. And I think that's kind of where you differentiate yourself, as a company, and coming in and helping, your clients. And I was just reading this case study. It sounds like you guys kind of really, that's where you separated yourself from so many other manufacturers out there.
Yes. So like I was saying earlier, one of the things that really drives me is making production equipment do what the customer wants it to do.
Right.
And they can explain it, usually pretty straightforward in a certain amount of words. And it's, once you get into their mindset, that's what you have to do, is get into their mindset,
right?
Understand what they are trying to produce. And you just turn that into algorithms and controls and software that will, if mechanically everything is there that you need, you just make it happen through those tools. So when I met Dual Line, they were a very impressive manufacturing facility set up by Mr. David Marshall, the CEO down there.
Right.
They had 4 filament winding cells, 30-foot multi-spindle, 40-foot 3-spindle, robot handled, 2 shifts running day and night, automatic cutoff. It was really just a really impressive operation.
Yeah. Now, what they're making, can you give an overview?
Sure.
The rice wrap. This is a protective wrap of fiberglass epoxy applied to steel, right? Steel pipe.
Yeah. So they have 2 basic product lines being manufactured at that facility. One is internal linings for downhole pipe, right? So the corrosive properties of the natural crude coming up through the pipe doesn't corrode through it. And then a second product is where they actually protect the outside of pipe when it's submerged or put into harsh environments to protect and seal the pipe. So they get they get into wrapping over these pipes that are not all the same diameter. They have couplers, they're different lengths. They might have a custom order of a bunch of different lengths. And classically in your filament winding world, the engineer has to go design the patterns for a certain length. Right. And then also try to build up in certain areas. In what Dual Line was doing down there, all these target areas are moving around on them. Right. So they're putting in a different piece of length, and then they want the program to automatically adjust. So so they did have some sort of solution. The engineer had to go back to his office, and he was using a spreadsheet that was given them by the vendor. So after we did an assessment first of their entire facility, noticed that they were using Bosch Rexroth drives, which we like, and Bosch Rexroth motors, which we like that as well. Just had a controller that was kind of proprietary. So step 1 was just to unlock and get them on a CNC system. And then once you do that, just like everybody who has a machining center or a 3D printer or an additive process, they can use anybody's software they want because they have a CNC interpreter. So that was goal number one, was to get them free, right?
Right.
First, free them.
Right.
And we told them at the beginning that they could use anybody's software. They could use CAD fill if they wanted. They could use Composite CAD, any of these offerings that have post processors that generate generic CNC. So they weren't, right away at the beginning, they could see that we weren't looking to lock them into anything.
Right.
So that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did one machine, and that went really well, and we got the green light to do the remaining three.
Sure.
Yeah. So then we started learning about more about this secondary process, and they knew that they wanted to improve it, but we insisted that we just kind of duplicate what they have first, so that we learn what the shortcomings were, what was going on with the output of the product. So that was kind of how we attacked it. Was first, let's replicate what you have or had. And we started producing some parts, and a lot of their team members traveled out from Dubai, and we worked together to identify where in this product is it falling short, and it was, the patterns weren't properly built up in these critical areas, and they were getting cracks.
Right.
Right. So they were having to rework, modify all these parts. It was a real hassle for them.
A lot of extra time and expense.
Right. They were having to basically rebuild every part that they made to patch it and make it the quality up to their standards. And that was a real hassle for them. But just by going through that process and working with them, it became readily clear to us, okay, so here's where we need to make sure that the algorithms are putting down this type of pattern. And we went away and rethought the whole thing, process, and came up with a custom routine of software where the operators just go ahead and could take a tape measure the piece of pipe with coupling, the coupling length, type that into the machine out on the production floor, and the algorithms would programmatically adjust and make that part just like every other one. Wow. And put the patterns where they needed to be built up around the transition areas. And next thing, they're just making parts, and they're passing QC right off the filament winding line. So that was great. David was extremely pleased with that. So was Dual Line and their partner at the time, Max Tube Technologies out of Dubai. Yeah. It was it was rewarding and very successful. So we liked that project.
And I like what you said, just to repeat, going back earlier, one of the things, again, one of the ways that I guess one of your core tenets is that, winding machines should have a controller that will accept all programs following open platform standards. And that's typically not the case. And, like we said earlier, once a company makes a sizable investment in that, they're kind of, a lot of times they're left on their own. And, like you said, here's a spreadsheet. Good luck.
Right.
But, you guys deliver not only, us able to customize, but, to make this, to a point where, it is open platform where they can, they can modify, they can customize it accordingly to their operation. So,
yes. And another, tenet of ours is right to service, right? So the products that we even choose that are off the shelf, we also choose from product lines that are also leveraged into the automobile manufacturing industry.
Sure.
So that those products are guaranteed to be supported by Bosch. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to produce these products and, offer them into these big manufacturing efforts unless they know that they're going to be able to get service on them for years and years and years to come. So we pick and choose out of those really common product lines. And then that also enables customers to leverage the global support network of Bosch.
Sure. Yeah. I want to mention where our listeners can find you over at Prodigm. It's, just says we've got the website pulled up here. Prodigm is it .com or is
.net.
.net? Okay. All right. We'll make sure that we have the .net on our show page, Prodigm.net. Are you guys US? Is it global? Or are you guys just US based right now? Or
so far, all of our installs have been in the continental US.
Okay.
We're working on two projects that are headed to Mexico. We're actually rebuilding some equipment. We're starting our own designs. So stay tuned for those coming.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and we're perfectly comfortable going wherever the work takes us. So,
and most of these filament winding companies, these are large, are these typically large scale applications? You talk about winding pipes or containers, large containers, or are they?
That's right. That's the beauty of the composites industry, right? There's just unlimited variety.
Right.
From some of the machines have been 14-foot diameter. I'm going up a stairway to get up to the control system.
Sure.
And other customers are winding something like a CO2 tank for the airsoft industry, right? So it's the size of a cantaloupe. They don't need, right? So they don't need a very big machine for that. So rocket fuel tanks, you name it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So companies that want to reach out to you, what is it? Is it usually a consultation call, kind of visiting their location, looking at their process? I mean, where do you start?
We typically start with, if it's a machine specific, I usually like to see a set of photos of, we actually go right into the technical details. Hey, send us photos of your motors.
Yeah.
Inside your control panel, those can be scary photos, but we want to see it. Right. We've seen some really scary wires hanging out of things.
Sure.
Right. And then if we're
Rat's
talking
nest up in there,
yeah, someone's been in there working, and then someone else and someone else.
Right.
And, yeah.
Yep.
And if it's more of a process thing, then it's better for us to go ahead and make a couple-day visit, meet the team, look at the process. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on and spending some time. It's really enjoyed learning more about your company, and we look forward to getting this episode out on our show page over at Composites Weekly. And again, to all of our listeners, you can learn more about Prodigm over at prodigm.net. And Jeff, they can find, if they want to reach out to you, I guess you probably find you on LinkedIn, or if they want to reach out to you, I'm sure you get the contact page on there. They can ask questions.
Yes, there's a good contact page on the website.
Okay.
And they can also just email info@prodigm.net. We're happy to take direct emails. And of course, yes, we're on LinkedIn. Should be able to find us.
Okay. Very good. Jeff, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much. And I hope you have a great weekend. Best of success to your company, and look forward to having you back on sometime.
Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Let's do it again.
Definitely. All right. That's a wrap. Hey, that was great. Thank you.